Hi guys and welcome. Today is actually a premiere. So what that means is this is a pre-recorded video, but I'm actually hanging out in the chats down below. So if you want to ask me anything or if you want to share your thoughts with me, just drop a comment and I will say hello and try to reply. So grab a cup of tea, because today what I thought I would do is I've got back off my road trip and I was just going to go through the 5 top moments, the things that I enjoyed the most about the road trip. And then at the end of the video, I thought what I'd do is just very quickly break down the accommodation, because I stopped off at 4 places and I was just going to go through what they cost and what I got for that. So if you're traveling around Rwanda and you want to check out accommodation options, you've got some sense of what you can get for your money. All right, so my 5 top moments of this road trip. It's really crazy because I only went away for about 3-4 days, but it kind of feels like I went away for weeks. But I think that's probably all to do with the editing afterwards. But the 5 top moments of the trip, I'm going to go in reverse order from number 5 to number 1. Number 5, one of my favorite things that I did was, this is going to sound so stupid, I really enjoyed that hot shower at Palisse Hotel. You know, water can be a bit of a thing here. I've done videos before about, you know, when the water goes out and you're having a bucket bath. I've also probably not talked about it so much, but water pressure can be a problem. So I've got an electric shower at home. It's a hot shower, but it only really works if the water pressure is coming through hard. And yeah, it's not always often that you get a proper hot shower, but Palisse was really nice. It was a little bit too hot to begin with. I had a slight shower incident. I've turned the shower on, but it's scalding hot. It came on cold, so I twisted it a fraction to the left. And now it's absolutely, I mean, it's like boiled kettle scalding, and I can't reach the tap to change it because it's too hot to put my hand in there. Found a coat hanger. Let's try. Oh my goodness. It's so clouded up in here. It is like sauna hot in here now. Well, there we go. There we go. Oh my goodness me. Right, let's try that again. You need to return it to the safety position. But once I got it working, it was brilliant. So I really enjoyed that. It was a proper rainfall shower, so coming down from above, great temperature, really great water pressure. It's little things like that that you sometimes really appreciate. So number 2, the second thing that I really enjoyed, it was the geeking out at Silent Hill. So if you haven't seen it yet, on my first night away, I stopped off in Cyohoha, which is this little town between Kigali and Akagera National Park, and I went there for one reason and one reason only, and that reason was there is a hotel there called Silent Hill. And whilst I was there, I couldn't help myself. I geeked out because I'm a bit of a horror fan, and there is a horror movie called Silent Hill, and I made a really short little horror video in my room. So it was really hashed together, but I had such fun doing it. So yeah, and I think you'll agree, it looks absolutely perfectly normal. It's just, you know, a very standard, clean, nice, friendly guest house in Rwanda. And I wasn't sure if I was staying in the right place, because on the receipt it said Ramagana, and when you look online, this one says it's in Cyohoha. So yeah, that just kind of fed into my creative self at that time. And also I'll just point out, although I made that video at Silent Hill, it was a really nice place to stop off. It's a great hotel. I'll talk about it a bit more later on in the video. So number 3, the third thing that I really enjoyed was Rusumo Falls. It's like that was the whole point of going on this road trip, was to go and look at the waterfall. And I have to admit, I didn't enjoy finding the waterfall so much because it was tough. You have to drive out onto the sort of border, the no man's land between Rwanda and Tanzania, and you have to try and find this waterfall. There's like no signpost or anything. It was a bit stressful, but the waterfall itself was pretty awesome. Okay, so just behind me is a little hole in a fence. I can't show you because it's right opposite a major police station, but they just waved me through. So you walk out onto this bridge here and you should be able to see the waterfall. Oh, I can hear it. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, can I see this? Oh, wow. Whoa. The shape of it looks ever so slightly like Africa. It's kind of cool. So yeah, I'm really glad that I actually did go to see it, and I felt kind of proud that I'd achieved the thing that I'd set out to go and do. So the second best thing, for me, it was definitely like the last day when I drove across the Akagera wetlands. So I drove from Rusumo, having seen the waterfall, and I drove all the way across Eastern Province to Cyohoha Campsite. Now, the end of it was a little bit tiring. I missed the turn off and I ended going miles and miles out of my way. But there was a stretch of the drive where it was just a road across the Akagera wetlands that just went on and on and on, and it was lovely. It was just amazing to drive across. You know, I was just on my bike. It was a real slow, steady ride, and just seeing people walking past on either side, going about their lives, you know, carrying things with their bicycles, you know, carrying things on their heads, agricultural equipment, goats, cows. It was just a really... It was almost kind of surreal. It was a bit dreamlike in a way, because usually Rwanda is really, really hilly, but this area is absolutely flat. Probably one of the flattest places in Rwanda, I'd say. And so you just had this huge expanse of green wetland and this massive sky above. And yeah, it was just... Yeah, I'm smiling thinking about it. It was just a really awesome trip. I really enjoyed it. And it was a surprise, you know, because I knew I was going to go and see Rusumo. I knew I was going to Cyohoha, but I didn't know that I'd be driving across the wetlands. And so, yeah, that was really, really cool. And so the final thing, the thing that I thought was just the coolest part of the trip, and many people here are going to disagree with me, but it was seeing that snake. Now, the reason that I was so excited is I love animals, I love nature, I love snakes. When I was in my early 20s, I had a corn snake called Naider. I used to live in Wales, and Naider is the Welsh word for snake. So I called my snake. But Naider had a very special part of my heart. I've always loved reptiles and, well, any kind of animal really. But Naider unfortunately did escape eventually. So I'm very, very well aware of the fact that snakes are escape artists. But yeah, it was just mind-blowing for me because I have lived here for so long, but I have never seen a live snake in the wild. I think it was last year I went to Kant House, which is a museum in Kigali, and there they have a huge reptile selection. So I even saw a black mamba there, and I saw a boomslang, and I saw all of these poisonous vipers and crazy snakes. But I'd never seen a snake in the wild, not even a house snake. So for me, it was just like, oh, really exciting, really awesome. I was a big dilemma because, you know, if you tell people you've seen a snake, they will usually kill that snake. And I didn't want that to happen. So thankfully, the snake had disappeared later on that day. So it was all fine. So when I got back to Kigali, I posted a video of the snake on the East African Reptiles and Snakes Forum. And they're amazing. They can identify anything for you. They also have a forum for insects and non-vertebrates, so scorpions as well. I will leave those links below. If you're living in East Africa and you see an insect, you see a snake, you see a scorpion, you want to know what it is, post to these forums because they're amazing. And thanks to Stephen Spalls, who is a snake expert, he replied saying that actually it's a type of green snake, and green snakes are found all over Africa. He reckoned it might be an Angolan green snake, but basically it's totally harmless. It's pretty much the African equivalent of, say, a European grass snake. It's totally harmless. And I kind of got that feeling from it because, you know, when I went to look at it, it was just trying to hide. It was trying to get away. There was nothing aggressive about it. And so I'm really glad that it got away safely. And I'm really privileged that I got to see it because it was beautiful. It was really green, so pretty. So yeah, that was probably my moment of the trip that I was like, I'm really glad I got to see that. So yeah, if you missed any of these, I'll leave the playlist below or at the end of this video, and let me know what your favourite part of the trip was. You know, what do you think was kind of cool? Because, you know, for me, I very rarely leave Kigali, so it was good for me to get out of town, go and see some other places. All right, so I'm just going to wrap up. I'm going to give you the 4 places that I stayed, from the cheapest to the most expensive, and I'll just tell you what I thought about each of those, and, you know, let me know what you think about them as well. So the cheapest place that I stayed, it was the second night, and I was in Rusumo, and it was a little motel, roadside motel called Ituze Motel. And I couldn't believe it. It was 10,000 francs for the room. And that is unheard of. Like years ago when I did actually used to have a bit of energy and go around the country, that was a pretty standard price. You could get a room for between 5,000 and 10,000. Nowadays, that is unheard of. It didn't have breakfast included, but it was a really comfortable bed, secure parking, no problem, and a huge bathroom with an electric shower. It was a little bit lukewarm. It wasn't quite heating the water fully, but I mean, it was absolutely perfect for me. And the food was equally as cheap. I had an entire evening meal with beer and water and everything for about 7,200, I think it was. Which is about £4, which again is crazy. So yeah, I thought it was really good value for what it was. It certainly wasn't the quietest place. Like, you could hear the traffic going past, and you could hear somebody checked into the room next door at one point. You could kind of hear what they were talking about. But I think if you're in that area of the country, that was fine. I think they do have Wi-Fi, but I didn't ask about it, so I'm not sure. But they did have electricity. You would need to take a plug adapter with you. But to me, that was a good example of a standard outside Kigali sort of rural hotel room and what you can expect. So the second cheapest option was Cyohoha Campsite. They had very, very cheap tents for 15,000 a night. I wouldn't go with those. I mean, they were literally a mattress in a little plastic shell. I wouldn't probably go with those. I mean, I think if you were camping there in a chalet and you had children and the kids wanted to, you know, stay off by themselves in tents, that would probably be a good option. For an adult, I don't think they were really big enough. You couldn't kind of get your stuff in there and yourself. The second cheapest was a toss-up between the safari tents and the chalets. From my experience, the safari tent's fine. You could get 2 people in there, but it kind of felt a bit run down. Like the bed was broken on one side, and there was a little shower room behind, but it didn't really work, and it wasn't private. But for the same amount of money, for 30,000, you could get one of the smaller chalets, which came with electricity, which the tent didn't have, and, you know, your own bathroom with running water, so you don't have to go to the shower block. And then you could upgrade for 40,000, which I think is still a really good price, to the slightly larger chalet, which was the same but slightly bigger. Slightly bigger bed, bit more space to walk around in. And I think that if I was going to go down there and stay for a night again, I would definitely go for one of the chalets. I think that was probably the best option. But you also need to know that nowhere on the campsite do they have internet, and also I couldn't get a phone signal for the whole time that I was there. So it's very kind of cut off, isolated, remote. Great if you just want to go and chill out with a beer by the lake. Yeah. So the second most expensive one was Silent Hill Hotel. I really liked that place. It was a really comfortable bed. There was a television there if you watch television. There was a nice bathroom. They had a good restaurant and breakfast was included, which it isn't with the other two. I thought it was a really nice place to stay. Unfortunately, I had a shower malfunction in my room, so I didn't have hot water in my room, but I think as standard you generally do. I think that was just a me thing on that particular day. So yeah, it was a very standard hotel room, I felt. No kind of frills, but also, it was absolutely fine at the same point. So for 60,000, I think that was great. So the most expensive place that I stayed by a long way was La Palisse Hotel. It's also called Golden Tulip, and that's in Yamata, which is on the way to Bugesera. And this was a proper big hotel. It was $100 for the night, which is sort of around 140,000 francs maybe, which is a lot of money for a room. I really, really liked the room. It had an incredibly comfortable bed. It was huge. I had a shower and a bath and a whole bathroom. They've got a massive swimming pool there and a gym and a children's play area if you've got kids. It was really nice to walk around. Breakfast was included and the breakfast was good. It was like 3 courses. And also they had a nice restaurant with a whole menu items thing going on, and the food there I thought was really reasonably priced. Again, I kind of feel like $100. I felt it was more like a $60 to $80 range, really. But also, it was so quiet. There was nobody else staying there. And so I think they probably need to keep themselves running. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed La Palisse. I think the only sad thing with a lot of these places is there isn't very much to do in the surrounding area. So I think that's why they don't see a lot of tourism trade. A lot of these places like Silent Hill, like La Palisse, they tend to be hired out by NGOs and businesses for meetings, and then they fill up the hotel with people going to meetings and workshops. You don't tend to find a lot of other tourists passing through, and like I say, I think it is that there just isn't a lot to do outside the hotel. So, there isn't a lot of reason to go and stay there. But anyway, if you're on a road trip, these are your options, from a really, really cheap local motel for $10,000 a night to a really, really expensive big hotel at $100 a night. Those are the sort of range of places that I stayed in. So let me know which one you would like to spend a night in yourself and what you thought was really good about it. And yeah, it's been really fun running my first premiere video. I don't know at this point in the video if anybody's turned up to watch it. The reason we're watching this a little bit later than most of my videos is because I was trying to hit the time zone so that viewers in other countries could join in. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and catch you in the next one. Mwah.